Hi, welcome back to Represent. Today's show, we have a special guest. It's Yodassa Williams. Thank you so much for joining us, Yodassa.
Thank you for having me.
And we're really excited to have you because you're doing some cool things with Writers Emerging along with Burning Man. Can you tell us more about that?
Yes, I'd be happy to. This will be my sixth burn this year, and I really consider Burning Man my home. And one thing I've been really excited to do with Burning Man this year is create a space for people of color, specifically women of color and non-binary persons of color, to really enjoy the space that Burning Man has called Fly Ranch, which is in Nevada. It's this beautiful desert property, 4,000 acres, and they've allowed me to present a program that will be this fall. We'll have 20 writers coming to the ranch and just writing and really using it as a beautiful retreat space to liberate themselves and create wonderful work.
That's really cool.
Awesome. And I think you kind of already touched on it, but just to go a little bit deeper into what really motivated you to start creating a space for PLC? Is it just for women or is it just?
So it's for women of color and non-binary persons of color.
Okay, yeah.
And I have been a writer actually really all of my life, but it was since my first burn in 2014 that it ignited me to focus on my creativity and focus on writing as the path that I wanted to pursue in my life. And I found challenges as a person of color and a Black woman in finding spaces and opportunity and funding to do my writing, to focus on the works that I knew I wanted to create. So I had the opportunity through Burning Man to visit Fly Ranch last year, and it was just their first year of opening the property. And one of the things that they said was, you know, we really want this to be an incubator for whatever can be created here. And that really sparked in my mind that there needs to be more spaces for writers of color, specifically women writers of color. And I just proposed there off the cuff and said, I would love to see if this could be a space for women writers to come and non-binary writers to come, specifically persons of color who have challenges in the traditional publishing and writing space, to come and create. And I know that being a part of Burning Man has really ignited my creativity, and I feel so grateful for the opportunities I've had to be in this like really wildly creative and spiritually like igniting space. So I wanted to do what I can to open that door for other people to come and have that experience.
I think it's super cool because for people who don't know, Burning Man is a very special, not just festival, but it's also a sort of counterculture to the way, you know, the way we live. And I've been to Burning Man 3 times.
Yeah.
And you've been how many times?
This will be my 6th year, so 5 times already.
5 times, that's incredible. You haven't yet.
I've never been to Burning
Not
Man
yet.
yet.
Not yet. But it's interesting.
It is. I think I'm kind of glad you're on the show to like spread that light, because I always felt like Burning Man was for white people, and so I was never really interested in going. So now that I have like a bit of background of like what's happening in this space, it sounds really cool. Because I've always seen pictures from Burning Man, and from what I see, it's just a lot of people throwing paint around, and I wasn't really sure like what does that mean? Like what are they doing? Or they're into some freaky stuff. So now that I see that it's like a space for like creating and just kind of like letting loose spiritually, that sounds like a place where I need to be.
Yeah, I really feel grateful because I had a lot of preconceived notions before what Burning Man was, that it was not for Black people, that it was like really, it's like hedonism and not really what I connected to personally. But I was going through a lot of personal challenges at a time in my life, just in before like 2013, 2014. And my best friend at that time said, I think I know what you need. You need to come to Burning Man and just connect with yourself.
Oh, wow.
And I thought it was a really crazy suggestion, and I pressed him on it and even said, like, Black people don't go there. Why would I want to go?
Good. I'm not alone.
But he said, like, it's so much more than you think it could be. It's really just a place for healing, and it's a place for liberation, and it's a place to really find your voice. And I had no idea that that was that. And my first year, I found it to be that.
And absolutely. And I think, you know, as long as you don't have these expectations from it and you let yourself go there prepared to be open to the experience for yourself and for yourself, like not really, you know, you want to be intentioned when you go to Burning Man, whomever you are, even if, you know, you are doing the plug and play camps, and there's a lot of that happening now where, you know, people with money just want to do plug and plays in Burning Man, and it kind of disrupts the culture a bit of the gifting culture. You know, you just gave me something today. You just gifted that to me. That's part of the Burning Man culture. You don't exchange money. It's not even barter. It's really just you give. And so the more you give, the more you participate. There's these, they have principles at Burning Man. So, you know, radical inclusion, radical self-reliance. That's also really important, that you are responsible for yourself, that whatever you bring in, you bring out. And then also this participation thing. And I think that is, to me, you know, the interesting part for this sort of wild west of creative exploration, self-exploration, connection that happens on the playa is unparalleled. I've never seen anything like it. And you know, engineers and artists, they come and they build these beautiful structures. They themselves are beautiful art. They wear beautiful, like, you know, outfits, and like you would love that part too. Just
like
you yourself are your own sculpture, right?
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
that's also a thing. What I wanted to ask you about is, I think it's interesting because, like, physically and externally and visually, Burning Man, you look at it and you see it, but you're a writer, and writing is very internal, which I do see the connection, but maybe you can articulate that better.
Yes,
Okay.
please.
Yes, so I'm excited because my first book will be coming out next year, and it's actually the book that I grew up loving reading, loving specifically fantasy and sci-fi and characters who like received powers or did magical things. And I always felt that there was not enough people of color like myself, Black people, in these books. And I'm like, if we can create like crazy, like imaginative monsters, why can't we imagine Black people in the future, Black people having powers? So this was always a book that I was looking for, but had emotionally inside that, you know, maybe one day I'll read it. And so I kind of like always was a writer, but I focused on business. I focused on being in the fashion industry. I focused on what I thought would bring me external success and power and prestige. And I thought that's what, you know, what my parents wanted of me as a first generation Jamaican American, was to make a name for myself. And I found myself really drained from that like kind of facade and that life. And it was around that time, 2012 to 2014, I really started writing, but in this kind of secret way where like all these voices and ideas were coming up in my head at weird times when I was supposed to be working on a spreadsheet, but I'm thinking of these characters like doing something magical, and I'm like, what's going on? I need to focus on this. So that's when I kind of started writing, and I realized like I was at a contrast with what my heart wanted my life to be and what I was actually living my life to be. And that's when I started talking to my friend, and he was like, I think you need to come with me to Burning Man. The creative things out there would blow your mind. Like, there are people who dedicate their lives to just going to festivals and building art because they know that this art needs to be seen and that the world needs their art. And I think you need that spirit. And so that really is what touched me when I went to Burning Man, the creativity, the amazing things that they would build and then 2 days later burn. And I'm like, this could have been in the Smithsonian, what's going on?
Yes.
And they're like, whoever appreciated and saw it was who was meant to see this art. And we have to move on to the next thing. And just this like beautiful like gift of creativity really touched me because I realized I had been suppressing that inside myself. And I had been silencing this creative voice that wanted to like write about these magical Black girls for so long. And so it was literally when I got back from that first burn, I ended up leaving my job in the fashion industry. I found a writing mentor. I said, like, I don't know what my life is going to be like, but it needs to be so much creativity. And so I really started dedicating to that. And it's through that process I also started like becoming more of an out loud person, because also as a writer I was very introverted, kind of quiet to myself, but I realized like this gift that I have of like creativity, I can't keep it to myself. So I started storytelling, and a lot of the stories were just true stories from my Burning Man adventures. And so in 2016, I ended up writing about it in this article, and the title is I'm a Black Burner. And I just wrote about what it was for me to be a Black girl at Burning Man and to find myself home there, and how much I wanted that invitation to be widened to other people of color. And that I do feel like there's a lot of strides that Burning Man as an organization can create to open that invitation to especially people who are living in lives where they need to be touched and inspired by creativity that's already inside of them. And so through that, I thankfully got kind of the attention of the Burning Man org, and they were like, what else is going on? So it started the ball rolling, and right now I'm writing what will be my second book, which is a memoir about my Burning Man experiences, because now I've had 5 of them and had a lot of adventures there that have inspired me and changed me and helped me evolve. And also had the opportunity then to go to Fly Ranch once they opened that property. And that weekend that I was at Fly Ranch, I was one of just a few people of color, and there was like 50 of us, and there was about 3 people of color. So I again felt that disparity, that there's not enough people of color who are connected to this liberation. And I felt so much privilege to even have been on their radar, to have that invitation. And so we had a day where we were kind of just wandering the property, and it's beautiful, surrounded by mountains. There's like jackrabbits and horses, and there's a geyser on the property that shoots out 24 hours a day, and it's just gorgeous. And we went to the hot springs at night, and I looked up and I saw the Milky Way for the very first time, which like blew my mind. I was like, what is the sky doing? Why are there so many stars tonight? And they were like, this is what it's supposed to look like.
That gives me the chills because one of my Burning Man campmates, I'm part of a camp called Salty Jacks, and we're mainly based in San Francisco, but we have people all over the world, including Seattle, LA. But one of them, he is actually in Canada, and he's a PhD. He's a person of color. He's Indian, and he's in Canada right now getting his PhD in neuroscience, neuropsychology. And one of the things he was saying is people in the city oftentimes lose that, like the awe. And as humans and as creative beings, and to connect to really like, the divine inside of us, or whatever your beliefs are, right? Yeah. You have to get that sense of awe. And when you're in a city and there's smog and there's, there's light pollution, you can't look up in the sky and have that experience that you have. Yeah. And one of the things he says is that this is a very important thing for us to have. And I believe that, Burning Man is an opportunity to gain that sense of awe and wonder when you're in the middle of a sandstorm or dust storm.
I'm going.
You're going.
I'm going.
You are going.
I'm going.
Girlfriend.
I'm
I'm sure of it.
I'm going.
If you have 2 of us here, we're gonna make that happen.
Oh yeah.
I'm going.
But I just wanted to,
I
basically.
can fit in anybody's suitcase.
Yeah. Oh no, they'll check that. But I want to just thank you for being on our show today and to telling us about what you're doing, Yodassa, because that's what you're doing is very important. It's just the beginning. So anything that we can do to help spread the word.
Thank you.
And also next year you'll be having your book come out, so you'll come back on the show.
Yeah, definitely. We're really excited about October. The event's going to be October 3rd through 6th. And we're actively seeking funding to help support the riders who are coming, because we want to really make it a comfortable experience, because a lot of these riders have never been in the wilderness, who are coming from Indiana, places where they've lived in cities. We really want to make it as comfortable as possible, so we're looking for ways to be supported through the food, through the tents, through the sleeping bags and light and headlamps that we're doing. So we have a PayPal account, which I'll share with you.
We'll talk about that after the show, but we'll definitely put it on our page.
I would love that.
Yeah, and to send people your way for sure.
Please.
So Thank you so much. And that's all for this segment. Make sure you check us out at WeXL.org. You'll find out more about Yodassa on our website, and follow us on social media.
This a dog eat dog world, they'll kill you for you let your bark out. I'm just trying to find my place in this place. I'm just trying to find a way to escape. I'm just trying to find an island. I've been lost at sea while I just wanna be back home. I ain't been back there in so long, but there's a reason why I left. Mary had a little lamb, his face black is cold, and everywhere that Mary went, about your big bro getting shot, paralyzed, neck down? What you know about your niece in his 15 years getting pat down? What you know about your nephew getting stabbed because he don't back down?
Hi, welcome back to Represent. In this segment, we have Clay Hodges. We met recently. I was in his music video for Mary's Lamb. So talented. I played... He's so talented. I wasn't talking about myself. I played the character of Depression, and at first I was a little like, I don't know, let me listen to the music first. And then I listened to the music, and I was like, you're so talented. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Melissa. You are talented as
Thank
well.
you.
Very talented. Yes, ma'am. It's an honor to be sitting at this table with you, Queens, really.
I wanted to ask you, what makes you create this type of music? Because the subject of Mary's Lamb is very much about mental health, and it's just not something that a lot of artists like yourself will talk about in music. You know, a lot of very like popular music is about drugs and sex and blah blah blah.
And
but
money.
yours and money, and yours is just so much about what a lot of us struggle with.
Yeah. Well, to be honest with you, it's life. I mean, I only talk about what I know. So
Right.
the song, like, it's legit. Like, things I've been through, like the second verse, which you know about your big bro getting shot, paralyzed, neck down. My OG, like, was in the shooting. He paralyzed from the neck down. My niece sentenced 15 years in prison. My little nephew, he's serving 7 years in prison. He was stabbed in there. I'm talking to him, you know, weekly. He's telling me the conditions in there. So it's just like life, things I go through, things I feel. That's my inspiration. That makes the best art, in my opinion. You know?
You're taking the poison and turning it into medicine.
Exactly, right. As I call it, sometimes I put the pill in the cotton candy. Sometimes, you know, you got to give it to them the way they want to hear it.
Wow.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yes.
I was just telling them also about how while we were filming the music video, I think you played one of your songs in your car, and I was just like, who is this? And I think even the director and writer, Javi, shout out Javi, he's
Shout
so
out to
talented too.
Javi.
Oh my
My
goodness.
man.
He was gonna go take a picture of whose song that was, like take a Snapchat of it, right? Or a snap of it to find that song later. Turns out it was you, because that song was so good.
Shazam that.
Just doing my thing, man. God bless me with this gift, and it's only my part to share it with the world, you know.
Absolutely. I mean, I saw when Belheka told me about this, I went to your Instagram and you were just rapping in your car, and I said,
Oh, yeah.
"Oh my goodness!" I mean, I was already texting, writing comments because I was just so blown away. And you know, I think that's interesting that you said you gotta wrap it and give it to a way that they like to receive it, and that's so hard sometimes. I think with really hard issues. What is your process in a way to do that?
To do that balance.
Just
Gotta have balance. I mean, from a sonic aspect, the beats got to be on point for one. If you got a nice groovy beat that you can move to, you could pretty much say anything you want to say on it. You know? And then melody is another thing. If you got a cool, catchy melody going on top of that beat, you know, you in there. It don't matter what you're saying, because like you even listen to some of the music out now, they be like, you don't know what they saying, but it's like, ooh.
Yeah, you like it anyway.
Right? So you mess around and say something like conscious or something that can help someone on top of that, you know, you just planting seeds at that point. You
Raising
know?
the vibration.
Exactly.
Yeah. So let's get into the nitty gritty here. How long you been in the Bay?
Since March.
Oh, you just got here.
I just got here.
And you already made this?
Yeah.
That's so fast.
Yeah, this music video came out on 4th of July.
Yep.
Wow.
4th of July.
Oh, we got to talk about like how did you like jump on the scene so fast? Because actually this summer would be my 3rd year here in California. I'm from Virginia, from the South as well.
Okay.
So yeah, let's get into like the difference. Let's let these Bay Area folks know how we do it in the South one time. So let's start, like, how did you like jump so fast, and then like what are like some like the major differences between the South and the Bay?
Well, I know for me from Savannah, Georgia, it's not that many opportunities, and I had to create every opportunity that I had. So to get to a place where there's a lot of opportunity, it's like, okay, so this is that. So it's like when I got here, I knew exactly what I needed to do, just from like being back there and having to scrape things together. So it was just simple in that fact. And the difference, one of the things that made me come out here is like, besides my heart telling me, it's the mentality of the people is different. So like people out here, they're like, success makes sense to them. It's not impossible. It's like it's so much around, so much money, so much business. So it's like back home, you know, everybody, I know, I say it like this. For the friends I've made out here in the Bay so far, every single person that I've talked to either knows someone or went to school with someone who was successful or a millionaire. Back home in Savannah, Georgia, you talk to anybody, I guarantee you that they either know somebody that's dead or in jail. You know what I'm saying? And not too many people successful. So when you go talking about these dreams, it's like, okay, cool, whatever. You know, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't register. Because, you know, we don't have that many examples. We're just starting to get some now. You know, shout out some of the artists that's doing it now, like Clay James, Quanah Rondo, and myself, you know, but like before us, it's like anyone that got to a certain point, they either got locked up or they end up getting shot.
It seemed, the dream seems so far away from them.
Yeah, it seems so far away, even though Atlanta's 4 hours away.
I was just going to ask you about that. I mean, you chose the Bay, Atlanta, but there's Atlanta and then there's LA. Why did you choose
the Bay?
Well, my heart always told me California. Like, I don't know why, but like I always felt in my heart that I should move and live in California. So that was one thing. And it was like, how do I get here? I tried to get here a couple of times. It just didn't work out. And I was like, God, you know, whenever you're ready for me to come, show me the way and I'm gonna do what I need to do. And it opened up for me to come to the Bay Area. And you know, at first I was like, okay, cool, whatever. I really wanted to be in LA. But since I came out in the Bay, I understand why I need to be here. To me, this is like a chill New York. You got all these big cities that are like an hour, 30, 45 minutes away from each other. So it's like, I'm a kid in the candy store.
You loving it, I can tell.
Loving it.
I love it. Obviously, I hadn't been back.
What about you though? What made you come out here?
Same thing, same exact thing. Like my heart just kept saying California, and I didn't have a particular destination. It just kept saying California, California. So I just got on Google and I was like, new life in California. And my exact words. And then I just kind of like went from there. And then applied to some schools, and the first school they gave me a scholarship. That's how I landed in the Bay. And I always like to say, like, I didn't choose Oakland. Oakland chose me. And even when, because like I moved around a lot, because I heard that you had family here that supported you. So I didn't have that. So I had to move around a lot. And each time I tried to like, I'm like, well, maybe let me check out this city. It was like something that always like put me right back in Oakland and just network and like meet the right people. So I'm very proud of you, my brother, for jumping on so fast, you know what I'm saying, represent.
We out you.
Yeah, we is.
Yeah.
We out
How did you get started so quickly though? I mean, seriously, March and then July.
You gotta know what you want.
I mean,
I'm telling you, like, I created all. I do it my own shows. I did my own music videos. I did everything for myself back home, and it's hard. It's hard. It was difficult. You know, it's certain people who are enthusiastic and they want to get it, but you know, it's not that many people. You come out here, people it's just a mentality.
Yeah.
So it's just easy. And I mean, to be more specific, I was walking downtown with my cousin and Hayward, right? Yes. Downtown Hayward. I heard music playing, and I said, oh, let's go check that out. It sounded like somebody's performing. And I met Rosara. Rosara, she actually produced it for me, and I connect with everyone in there. Networking is key.
Yes,
so
it is.
just networking, and I checked out her portfolio, and I said, okay, it's cool. So she's pretty much the plug. She knows people. So I connected with her, and she connected me with everyone else. So to be more specific to your question, networking.
Again, that's actually my question is what do you want from the community? Is there anything else you want out of it? And
oh yeah, I want to take it to the next level. I want to reach people that I wasn't reaching before. Yeah, that's the whole point of me leaving, because I got to a certain point in Savannah. I humbly say this, that I made myself a local celebrity. I couldn't hardly go anywhere without someone say, hey, you're Clay Hodges, or hey, I like your music. But that wasn't enough for me, because I'm still working this job that I don't necessarily love. So it's like, I got to do something to get to the next level. I want this to be my career. So California, like I said, was always in my heart. And the way open for me, so I'm out here.
wow, yes, and now and so now that you want to take the community to the next level, right? To just what your work to the next level, and also the people around you to the next level, right?
Exactly right, and that's something I'm just now coming to realization.
Okay.
Because I realized that what I'm doing is going to take people to to help make this thing happen. So like God showed me, like, it's not really even about me at this point, not about just me achieving my dreams. It's about helping the people around me achieve their dreams as well, and to show people that it can be done. This is possible. It's more than possible. You just got to believe, put that work in, connect with the right people, and it's going to happen.
I feel so much about that with this organization, and we started to just branch out now in the community, and Belhika told me about you and us about you, and then now you're also in the fold of this, of what we're trying to do, which is in line with what you're saying, and I think it's a very incredible alignment. The alignment is and I feel that you also have it's not just your artistry, it's also very much grounded in something greater. Something more than yourself, which is how did you develop that in yourself to connect your artistry to something
bigger.
Greater. Yeah.
Well, I realized that like music is one of the most powerful and influential tools that there is on this planet. Like it has the power to shape, create, build, and destroy people.
Yes.
So with that power, like Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. And I realized if I'm going to do this, I got to do it for the right reasons. I got to use it to help people. I mean, that's my purpose of coming here, to be alive, honestly, to help people. I feel the best when I help people. Things work out better for me when I help people, when I take myself out of the equation and I tell my story for the sake and benefit of helping other people going through the same things that I'm going through. Like it just means so much more. So I try to stay focused and grounded in that. It's not always easy sometimes because, we living in the world, but I try my best to.
That's so inspirational. I saw your shirt earlier. It said I save lives. I was like, oh yeah, I need to know how. Yeah. So we already know now. That's so beautiful.
Yeah. What's up next? What are you thinking?
What's up next is finishing his album, the Mary's Lamb album. Okay. So the video and the song is the title track to the actual album. The album is called Mary's Lamb as well. And Mary represents America. The lamb represents people of color and those who've been oppressed through the history of this establishment. And just in the world in general. So I'm really excited about putting that project out because it's the most expressive piece that I've done so far. Like, I'm really going there with it.
Can't wait to see
so
it.
Exciting.
I'm so excited. I'm so grateful to have you as a friend. Like, how amazing. I always talk about, I'm just so grateful to have such talented friends like you, Javi, everybody in the music video, all of you guys behind the camera, all of you guys. Thank you so much, Clay. If you guys want to hear more of his music, Clay Hodges on YouTube, on Instagram.
Apple Music, Spotify, all that good stuff. You can
All of
Google
it.
me. Google me.
him.
Google me, people.
Google him. Go to WeXL.org to learn more about our organization. Follow us on Instagram and subscribe to all of our YouTube channels.
All of it.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Clay.
Yay.
Hi, welcome back to Represent. On this segment, we have Shoshana Howard from the Oakland Comedy Festival,
Yep,
right? And
correct.
Miss Ci'era over here, she's the one who wrangled her onto the show. So perhaps you can tell us more about what happened here. Creative collaboration.
Yeah, well, Ci'era and I met in a sketch comedy acting class at Killing My Lobster in San Francisco. And during that time, I was in the process of doing some planning for the Oakland Comedy Festival, but I knew I couldn't do it alone. And so after the class was over, I sent an email and Ci'era was like, yeah, let's do this. So now we have a committee of 8 people and we're getting ready for the festival to happen October 16th through the 20th throughout Oakland.
Taking over Oakland, baby.
Yeah.
It's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be lots of laughs and
Yes.
silliness all over.
This is what's incredible to me is that this is the first Oakland Comedy Festival.
This is
why is it the
We're
first?
making history.
It's totally historical.
Yeah, so I couldn't believe it myself. About a year ago, I was really thinking about like what my project was going to be, like what was the passion. And before that, I was doing a lot of like organizing around social justice issues. It was a lot of like pushing and fighting and resistance and confronting very challenging issues. And I noticed I was feeling depleted from it. I was feeling sad, I was feeling lonely, I was feeling completely like, we're just completely not gonna make anything better. And then I had to tap in and be like, why am I feeling this way? Like, what is missing? And the answer was laughter. So in that process, I started just kind of thinking about what a comedy festival would look like in Oakland. And the reason why is because the comedy scene there is just amazing. It is really, really vibrant. There's so many different groups. There's so many comedians. And it is a place where I feel like people really want to come together. And a commonality that we all have is laughter. So I asked people, I was like, hey, what do you think if I started Oakland Comedy Festival? And the first response would always be, what, there isn't one? How is that happening? And yes, that's a great idea. So my unofficial market research led me to this point where it's gonna happen now.
That is so cool. And then you were just, I mean, what did you think of it when she came up to you about, when show time was like, hey, Ci'era, what about
I
this?
was like, WTF. And because I'm a transplant, that was the main reason why like I jumped up on it. I was scared, still a little like, can I do it? Can I do it? But like each time we like meet and we talk, I realize, oh wow, we're getting further and further. Oh wow, like this is happening. Oh wow, we can do it. Oh wow, we are doing it. And so by me being a transplant, I just thought that this was a great opportunity to put myself out there and to let Oakland know like, hey, Ci'era London has landed, just in case you didn't know. And then also get my feet wet into like organizing events. Because yes, I'm an actress and all of those things, but eventually I want to do other things behind the camera, around the camera, on the side of the camera, not just, you know, in front of the camera. So this is like a really good learning experience for me. And so motto is, if you're scared, do it anyway.
Yep.
And so what is your background though? Have you ever done any sort of event production before? Or?
I have, but not at this level. This is definitely like
big.
a learning experience for sure, yeah. And if I didn't have this amazing team with me, who are all volunteers as well, like none of us are making money from this. So if I didn't have these passionate individuals like Ci'era and so many other folks, there's no way that I'd be able to pull this off. But yeah, I've had some experience in like branding. I have a company called Notice Media. I do work with creatives, and I've done event production and stuff like that before. But yeah, a festival this is a whole other ball game.
Whole nother animal.
I mean, I've done a lot of event productions, and it's one of those things that I said, I will never do this for anyone but myself. It's just it's so hard. It really, you have to buy into the vision of the event. And I think it's so cool that you're bringing laughter into this time. I love comedy. I've studied stand-up at San Francisco Comedy College, and I'm not very good at stand-up, is what I've learned. It was way too personal. I mean, I just started talking. I'm like, this is not therapy. This is not funny. No one cares about what I'm saying. So I think it's really cool that you're thinking about. There is this sort of therapeutic balance that you get when you laugh with other people.
Totally.
And how are you finding the performers for the festival?
Yeah, so throughout June and July, we actually had applications, and we got over 100 applications of people who are interested. And this is ranging from stand-up comedians, improv groups, workshop leaders, sketch comedy, hopefully some more films. Like, we have a lot of different people that are interested in performing, and we also, we know who some of the players are in the field, so we're also booking them as well. We want it to be predominantly Bay Area talent.
Okay.
Like, there are some festivals that are highlighting it, but there's none that are in the East Bay, and we really want to highlight that demographic. But then also, like, there are just some funny people that live in other places that we also want to include them.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, you can get some name stars too.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, so basically, what I hear, it's not just stand up, or it also includes a film festival, or what is it?
There'll be some films, that are of local. It'll be a little bit smaller this year, and then next year it's going to keep growing and growing. But we want this to be a very diverse and versatile festival that really demonstrates the different facets of what comedy is. The common conception is that it's this like stand-up performance, but that isn't totally entirely what it is. Like, there's also clowns, like they're comics as well.
Yeah.
So
absolutely, so many types. So what about you? Where did you grow up and study and things like that?
Totally. So I grew up in Colorado. I lived there pretty much throughout my adult life, and then I moved to the Bay almost 10 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've been living in Oakland since 2012, and it's home now. It's definitely like where I see myself staying, and it's a community that I understand has a lot of beauty and culture and vibrancy, and my intention is just to continuing to open those spaces and allow it to keep growing and to keep existing, especially through comedy and laughter. And
that's incredible.
Yeah.
And so how do you balance both your business and is this part of your business too, or what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's my passion project that is not necessarily giving me any financial security at the moment, but it is definitely aligned with the broader vision of what I do. And I think, how do I balance the two of them? I'm not sure if I do balance them. I think it's like, I just have to do what I'm doing. So for now, I just don't have a social life.
Oh,
that's crazy, because I was actually thinking that like a couple of days ago. I'm like, I probably need to call Show and see like how she's balancing this out, because I'm having a really hard time. But it's just kind of like, it's passion. It's just like,
you gotta keep going.
I'm doing it, and it's happening, and just you find the time, you really do. And so I know our last phone call meeting, you was like, I think about this day and night, and so that actually like helped motivate me when I feel like, oh, I'm sleepy, I need a nap. I'm like, no, because Show is probably up right now, and so I need to get busy. So
absolutely. That's true. That's it. I wanted to also ask you in general, being a creative and being an entrepreneurial creative is, I think, one of the things that we encourage all creatives in our community to be is be entrepreneurial, understand the business of whatever industry you're in as a creative, whether you're an actor or a musician
Yeah.
or a, you know, artist, like an oil
business
painter,
of the
right?
business.
The
Yeah.
business of it.
Yeah.
And how are you able to, first of all, find clients creative clients that'll pay you for your services?
Yeah. A lot of it has been word of mouth. And so when I first started, I actually had said yes to every single client that came through my way because I just needed to build the reputation. And a lot of them weren't necessarily who I wanted to work with ultimately, but it was just like I needed to like build my reputation. And then it was a process of just like continuing to do really good work and showing up for people, and then the word would spread. I have also applied for some positions, and I mean, I feel like I'm constantly applying for a job because when you're courting a new client, you are demonstrating why they should be hiring you because they're investing in you. So yeah, like money is a very serious aspect of everybody's business, but especially in this society, we don't award creatives the way that we should, and teachers also. Those are two demographics, and nurses. There's a lot. The economic system in our society is not necessarily catering to the needs of our people. So I take it very seriously when folks invest their money in me. But then I also know that my work is going to help them elevate to that next level.
And absolutely, and it's an investment. And when I talk to emerging creatives, I always tell them that, you know, if you want to be a world-class anything, you have to have world-class coaches and a world-class team supporting you, you know, and that's like Steph Curry and the Warriors, they have Steve Kerr and their whole staff to make them world-class champions, right?
Totally.
And that's how we need to think of as creatives. It's like we have to invest in ourselves, and part of that is investing in the right people to help you with your business. And I believe in coaches, you know, business coaches, acting coaches. I think that they're super important. These are people that may not, you know, I also believe in mentors. That's why we connect each other to, you know, peer mentorship is also really important. So that's really cool that, you know, that you say that, that you know your value, because that's important to your clients.
Oh, I had to learn that big time.
Yeah. I mean,
it's hard to know that sometimes.
And I think that it's also interesting that we say, you know, the creative sectors may not be lucrative, but it is.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's just that, you know, I always say it's just, it only goes to a small group of people. That's the problem. And so now what we really understand is that as artists, storytellers, builders, engineers, you know, we could really, you know, bring more diversity and inclusion into it. So
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for you know, starting this amazing endeavor
My
for
pleasure.
Oakland.
Yep.
And so when is it again?
October 16th through the 20th at various venues throughout Oakland, and tickets are affordable. They are on sale, and we're going to sell it out. So
amazing.
they got to get tickets soon.
We'll send people your way for sure. And yeah, that's it for this segment. And if you want to learn more about our emerging creatives and also the Oakland Comedy Festival, we'll have it up on our site, WeXL.org. That's WEXL.org. Until next time. welcome back to Represent. Today's segment's guest is Naomi Assaraf. She's actually a friend of mine for almost a decade now, I think.
I know.
But I wanted to bring you here because you're very unique in the community. You're one of our mentors, and you do mentor mostly startups. But now I'm trying to get you to come to the creative side. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you do. What do you do?
So I'm a marketer over at Cloud HQ. I'm a co-founder there. And I grow ecosystems. I like to build out ecosystems to sustain a bigger growth. So mostly user acquisition. It's really what I focus on.
Yeah, and it's insane though. Like when you think about, using like creativity as a marketer. Mm-hmm. And right before this, you're like, okay, am I a creative technologist? Are you? I think you are.
Well, I'm creative in that it's not just a story that you have to tell, but it's also a story for your strategy, and you have to make that work. So it's a little bit more intricate.
What does that mean?
So, okay, so let's say I want to tell a story about, somebody's dog. It's easy to tell a story, but what's really interesting is you have to tell it so that Google understands you, or all these other search engines understand you, and ways that maybe people can understand, but also things that are going to rank you so people can actually find you. That's what I like to focus on.
Interesting. That like people. So there's this way of using these like technological tools to help you get in front of people.
Yes.
To get more users. For your product.
So I love movies.
Yeah.
My team makes about 3 a week, at least. And so I use YouTube. I use that, then I caption it, so I use SEO. I put that on my blog. I put that on different comments of different articles. I put it everywhere that I think can get me SEO search. And often I'm #1 for organic search in over 60 products.
How did you even figure out how to do that? Mm-hmm. Right?
I think I noticed that really anytime anybody sees a video, if I can get them to a video, they'll become a user. It's really easy to do that.
And you found that worked?
Always. So the goal is to create the video and then create this ecosystem with this video. So the video can be seen, let's say it's captioned, you put that in the blog, you put that anywhere that you think will have good SEO.
Yeah.
Support pages.
With SEO?
Search engine optimization. Okay. Sorry, yeah. So,
no, and I'm glad that you're asking that question because I know SEO, right?
But other people might not.
And it's a good question to have. And the reason why I'm also throwing you into this conversation is because, you're a creative and you make content. I mean, she's got, she's an incredible on-camera presence, like incredible presence. But now, how do you round that out as a creative entrepreneur? How do you put yourself out there? It's not, the world of YouTube is more and more what do you call that? Oversaturated.
Yeah. It is oversaturated, so you have to make it work for you. Okay. So you know how often we're kind of I think maybe addicted a little bit to Instagram stories or stories. So it's like creating your own story, but for your brand where you're going to pop up in search. And it's also very good always to do stories on Instagram or on social media too, but that's not going to really get you high ranking. The way to get ranking right now is going to be through the Google ecosystem, in my opinion, and at least for what Cloud HQ does. And because of that, I'm going to focus just on that. And so that's the ecosystem that I use. And there's another art form that I also want to tell you about, which is also kind of cool. So you've got the ecosystem of how to manipulate what will actually get you seen in search. But then you have another ecosystem, which is what you're offering as a product. So your actual infrastructure has to be enticing to somebody. You can't just offer, something that people don't find useful. So what we've done is we've created different Gmail add-ons that people find useful. So people like to take all of their email and forward it over to another email address with one click. That's something that we do. If you want to save it all to a PDF, you can do that. Or other really popular ones is to track your email to see if they've been opened, or send out a calendar link so that somebody could see your availability. So there's over 60 of these different products that Cloud HQ covers. And what's really cool is whenever we want to grow, there's actually 2 ways that we grow. The first way is we always try to release something new and useful every 2 weeks, which is why we have so many movies. And then the way how we choose that product is we look to see what's already being offered in other platforms, so maybe Outlook, for example, or is still offered as a Gmail Chrome extension, as a Google Chrome extension, but doesn't have very good reviews, but a lot of users. We're like, oh, well, how can we better that? And we'll include that into our ecosystem. So as soon as somebody sees a video, they're like, oh, well, sure, that's something that I might want. How do we know we could trust Cloud HQ? And then what happens is they see, oh, well, wait, they have also email tracking. They can block email trackers. They have something called MailKing that competes with MailChimp. They have like everything, email templates, anything that they might want, they can get. And it's all offered in like small little pieces. So that is its own ecosystem playing within a larger ecosystem of Google. And what's kind of cool about that is, you know, anybody who wants to use Cloud HQ, they like it so much because of these extra tools that they get to take on, they get to use. So they like that they can trust one company and you know, use 5 or 6 different products.
And I think that that way of using it, it actually applies to the way that I also build and we build like WeXL as a community, because like as you can see, you know, we partner with all different kinds of organizations that are already out there, like the Bay Area Film Mixer, and they have their own ecosystem. We have our own ecosystem, and then we also are partnered up with Google. So we do events at the Google Community Space in San Francisco on the Embarcadero. Cool. So then now we are, you know, now these are like actual ecosystems that also. So it's not just these, you know, you can really see a metaphorical, like the analogy between what you do and also the community building that we do at WeXL. And that's where I also, you know, what I think is what's so fascinating about the work that you've done. And first of all, I love that you're a female entrepreneur, co-founder, and I'm just in awe of all the work that you do. Thank you. But as a mentor, you know, you'll also consult with startups, right? Can you tell us more about that work and what you do for them? How do you help other startups?
Sure. So I like to take on minorities and women who are trying to become founders or who have companies, but just needs to get it to the next level, because a lot of it is really just understanding the art, the creative art, and being able to manipulate search. It's really a big part of it. Marketing is really my thing. I really like user acquisition. And most startups just really need user acquisition. Product is something that can pivot so much. Like
and they do, and it does all the time.
Always. Like right now, Cloud HQ is doing the Gmail add-ons, but that's just where we see so much growth. It's not what we started with. Yeah. You know, so right now I've got 5 startups that I'm mentoring, and I'm helping them get to a point where they're starting to see a little bit more profit coming in, and they can grow. And I'm hoping that will help. And I'm now also looking at investing in some startups and female founders as well, cool, just to help the ecosystem a little bit better. What
are the kind of in your dream? What kind of startup? What female-founded startup would you invest in?
Yes.
Yeah. Highest growth areas is what you're asking.
For you. Like, and also there's a passion behind that, right?
You know, so long as I can see more female founders kind of excel, and also minority founders, because I don't want to exclude males either. As soon as I see that, that's really my passion. I want people to get into their groove and grow. And when I can see that that's being achieved, that's my passion. So it's not a specific industry. I really don't care. You know, I have so many interests. You know, we all have all these different facets of our lives, you know, music or like whatever, we all have different things. But when I could see somebody growing from just having a startup where they're like struggling to buy a meal to the point where they're hiring now and they're actually growing out their team, that's my passion. That's what I like to see. Because I was in that position. You know, my first company, I was 17 years old. Like, wow. You know, I understand what that's about. I was like in an apartment at 17, you know, like putting myself through school with my first company. Like, there's a lot of struggle behind that.
And you're also a mom.
I'm also, wow. Also a mom. So there's a lot.
Well, now you are.
Now
you're 17.
Yeah. Although I had a lot of friends who did, because I grew up in a different country where that's very normal.
Where is that?
So I'm from Canada in Montreal.
Yeah, okay.
And I attribute Montreal also helping me very much to understanding how to deliver stories online, because it's such a diverse city, because it's the only North American city that speaks French. And so anybody around the world who speaks French and wants to move there will. And because of that intense diversity, you have to learn how to connect with so many different people, because, you know, that's where they are. And so that helped me understand how to create video that uses imagery really well. Like, things are just very clear, so that there's just no mistake at what's being offered. Montreal, totally, I attribute how to communicate through Montreal.
I'm learning so much from you already.
Yeah. So
Mentor
I
us.
actually have a question.
Sure.
What your focus seems to be on minority, on women. So like, what has your experience as a woman in tech been so far? Because how long have you been doing this work?
With Cloud HQ, it's been 6 years now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I've always been in tech, and I've always
Right, just tech in general.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's not necessarily true. My second business was not tech. This is my third now.
Okay.
But yeah, being a woman in tech, at first, I felt like I had a lot to prove. But a lot of the way to get around that is to be resourceful. And so one of my biggest mantras is the most successful people are not the most intelligent. The most successful people are the most resourceful people. So whenever you feel like you're just chasing your tail and you're just too busy to even think, you have to stop yourself and give yourself that pause to understand that that's not normal. You have to be able to think of resources that you can pull from to be able to stop that chasing your own tail.
That's really a great, that's great advice, and I actually follow that advice for myself, and I think that's a good way too, because it helps you when you stop and you breathe. That makes you think about, what is your priority? Like, what should you be investing in?
And what can you change to be able to achieve it? Awesome. That's really important too, because there's so many resources out there, and I was not always the best at using my resources. So that's something that I have to always remember. And also another mantra, if I can partake on yours. So no matter how slow it feels like you're moving forward, as long as you're moving forward, that's fine. So just keep going, stop, pause, find your resources and grow. And when you do that, you can really find success.
Bravo, I really love that. And with that, thank you so much, Naomi.
Yay,
For all the more of this wisdom, we're going to have you back on the show.
Sounds
again.
great. Sounds great.
Thank you. Thank you, and would love to just put you on WeXL.org as one of our mentors, resources. You see it, you could be an entrepreneur and be creative. It's actually very important for entrepreneurs to be resourceful, and that's all about creativity. Until next time, please visit us on WeXL.org and follow us on social media.